we got the print for quarterly GDP. This is for the quarter ended June. And this was slightly softer than what people were expecting. Remember, the RBI is expecting 7.2% growth for the full year, which is financial 25. This quarter came in at 6.7, slightly lower than analyst estimates. But the RBI governor has been talking about the fact that they still think 7.2% is well within reach. But today, I'm not going to talk about that. What I actually wanted to highlight here is to show you the real GDP curve, which is that purple line. And you can also see that orangish yellow line, which is the nominal GDP. Now you can see over there, at the beginning of this chart, 2019, you can see the values there. Real GDP was at 5%, nominal GDP at 8.5%. Then we saw that massive slump into the June quarter of 2020 due to the pandemic, and simultaneously a sharp recovery into 2021. Again, another bump in 2022 because that was associated with sort of the second, with the 1-year anniversary of the second, sort of wave of COVID, which spread in India. And the main thing you can notice there is that there is a very big gap between the yellow line and the purple line, which in essence reflects the contribution of inflation. And by the time you move to 23, the gap starts to vanish and comes down. This is also in line with inflation numbers that you'll see later. But you can see that in general now the gap is much smaller between real and nominal GDP. But the one point that I would want to make is that nominal GDP of late has tended to stay below 10%. This has typically not been the norm for India because in the past, even at 6 to 7% real GDP growth, we typically had much higher inflation, and as a result, we were more used to nominal growth in GDP being in the double-digit number. But in recent times, we've seen that it tends to stay just below 10%. So when you think about what is India's economic growth potential, particularly when we think about numbers which are related to corporate revenues and profits, remember these are related to nominal growth and not to real growth. So now we need to think about the nominal growth of the economy as being about a 10% level. And if growth is going to be at that level, then everything else, including profits and returns from different asset classes, get anchored to that number. So this number is slightly and qualitatively different from what we used to see in the past.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.